what's up from you? Are you interested in lack of skill? Yeah. Or maybe some suck. I'm just a new guy for the love of game. We don't go, I know it's bad. Times have changed, but not by mad. Don't you know that games are my thing? Yeah, I know it's getting real late. Come on, look at me. I even do storytelling. Also, podcasts on great game subjects. Okay, yeah, I'm not a Markiplier or a PewDiePie. But hey, that's what makes me so unique, right? 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 And hello everybody, welcome to the more cowardly episode of the Niko Show of 131. How you doing? How's it going? I can't show my ugly mug today. I'm not in the mood to wear my slut powder, so I hope you're doing okay here.
What he's doing is to go even further.
Alright, we'll wait till Goku's done powering up. Anyway, folks, yes, welcome to the Niko Show, episode 131, where we talk about things that we don't like about gaming. And I'm your host, Niko, of course, this also known as the well-mannered teenager, the snowflake, rambling idiot, and Vigil. I hope you're all doing well today on this fine, hot, feels like summer day of Florida. I seriously can't, I just can't. I just can't do it anymore. Let me scoot closer to the mic. All right, so yeah, no webcam today. I know we've been on a roll on doing that with the Niko Show, or since I started going live with the show. No more pre-recorded stuff for a while now. But for those of you who listen on audio with Spotify, yeah, none of this matters to you. But nonetheless, hope you guys don't mind. You can enjoy the nice, cheap PNG tuber Niko for now. So, oh yes, as the topic was mentioned before, we are talking about things we don't like with gaming or about gaming on this on tonight's episode. And there's, yeah, so it's a bit more of a deep discussion today. Kind of going straight to the point here. We will read an article to kind of set up the foundation. Of course, I'll do my rambling to set it up with the assistance that we get from the article. Ad nauseum here and there, and a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But this is another episode, another pity episode. We are doing these pity episodes to get to the 1,000 subscriber. Okay, and that's just something that we've been doing because, you know, YouTube don't like Niko very much. It was so close, 3 away. Oh my gosh, we're just at that point now, ladies and gentlemen. And I just released a video talking about Diablo 4's Paragon board, and it's been slow reception. I would think a little helpful video would go a long way, but hey, that's just how it is in this so-called business that I have no monetary value in. But with that said, we're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna keep fighting. I just want to get to that goal to push past the YouTube neglect and doubt, and with your guys' help, we can do that. So, anything in regards to Niko, you'll see down in the links below. Like I said, I'm on pretty much everything social media, Twitter, here on YouTube, and of course Spotify if you want the audio version. Those audio episodes have been going up slowly but surely, just because I'm not paying for the higher tier subscription for the first party app thing that I use, where I put the episodes up, because Spotify is the third party. So the episodes will probably come up at least once or twice a month, but hey, they'll eventually go up. But if you're listening to this now on audio, if you want to see all the other episodes that happen in between, if I'm pretty good at keeping up with it, you'll see them on YouTube. So no problem. And last but not least, with the shilling and the shameless plugs, I got a nice little Let's Play channel called Let's Plop, where me and another guest or two will play your favorite games, or my favorite games, our favorite games, whatever you want to call it, or new ones, in classic LP format. You know, just people playing a game, making commentary, stupid jokes, and just having a good time. Think of the golden age of Game Grumps with John and Aaron. So that's what I like to do on my as a side hustle. a side hustle that makes no monetary hustle, but it's a hustle for me nonetheless because it is a lot of fun to do. So anyway, we got that out of the way. I appreciate anybody hears that. So I hope you're ready to start the show. I hope you are ready for this. Oh my god, double Titus laugh. That's just cruel. That wasn't even intentional that time. Oh god. I swear to god. Alright. In this episode, if we get enough people, great. Just a few people here and there. I want to hear what you guys think about this, because when I read this article, there's going to be a lot to talk about. Maybe some gaming emotions. I know that sounds silly to say aloud, but whatever, we'll call that gaming emotions that we elicit too. We hit the nail on the head, because we are talking about things we don't like about gaming, and there is quite a bit. And I just got done watching a 40-minute podcast episode on pretty much one of the reasons of why gaming nowadays is just a pile of crap. And maybe it's always been like that. We're just seeing it now a lot easier because technology has come so far when it comes to the whole marketing thing with games and just releasing them and completion. Like, there shouldn't be any bullshit. We should never be surprised on whether these games are going to be good or bad. The research, the tools are at our disposal, so there's no excuse. So I hope this is a fun discussion. I hope we can, get to know each other and hear what you guys have to say about everything that we talk about today. So, without further ado, I'm going to go with the boring process of reading this article that discusses the podcast that just pretty much went up today. This is hot off the press. This was published like 10 years ago. Oh shit, I'm behind. 10 hours ago. So, is this pre-recorded? No, it is not. Welcome, Duncan. This is all live right now. So, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, went on to this podcast I never heard of. I know it's an Xbox podcast or whatever, but this is all relevant to gaming as a whole because it affects us as a whole. As consumers, it's mainly consumers and us enjoying product, or we try to. Oh man, I feel like I got a burp coming. But Phil Spencer was on this podcast, and he was pretty much talking about the most recent disappointing launch that was Redfall, which was made by Arcane Studios. And if you've never played an Arcane Studios game, what are you doing? Because they do a pretty damn good job. They've had an amazing track record until this dud hit the streets. And that's not saying the company is just complete crap all of a sudden. No, it's got a great enough track record where, hey, eventually, not every game that comes to fruition is going to be the best thing. And that could be from A, B, C, D, all of the above. It doesn't matter. So many things go into game development. And, yeah, we're very picky eaters these days. And like I said, we're up to, we're not going to fall for the tricks, if you want to call it that. Which, hopefully Arcane learns from this, and then they can go from there looking forward. Yada, yada, yada. All right, so let's get down to business, because we are talking about Xbox lead Phil Spencer comments on Redfall, disappointment, and more in the new interview. And there's a lot that he talks about. I think this is the most honest opinion and stuff and facts that you'll get from him. He is the head of Xbox, so he's not going to completely just flat out just lay it all on us, because he's the head of Xbox, so he can only say so much. But, you do get kind of a sense of emotion, like he is disappointed, he is upset about how Microsoft's been performing, and how it affects, like, us consumers, and not just Xbox players, but PC players, and, like, Sony, Nintendo, just all of the above. So, it starts off with a great quote, and it goes, "I'm upset with myself." Okay, that's already good. So, let's see. Oh, it was a recommended video? Well, YouTube does care about me. I don't know how this is a weird show. We're talking about video games here. I don't know what was recommended to you, so if you decide to stay, appreciate it. If you decide to go, hey, no big deal, I get it. I don't control the shitty YouTube algorithms, but happy that you're here nonetheless. So, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer sat down recently with Kinda Funny XCast. Yeah, I've never heard of these guys until today. And didn't hold back on his thoughts on over the recent Redfall controversies. That's the latest game that came out from Arcane. And other bad news we've had in the Xbox gaming sphere as of late. Now, like I said, you can take this all with a grain of salt. I think Phil Spencer, I think he did a pretty dang good job for what he was able to say. And you can watch the podcast. I recommend it, and make your own judgment on how you feel about the whole situation. But it's pretty much the current state of gaming, at least AAA stuff. When asked how he was at the beginning of the interview, Spencer said he had easier weeks, which is an understatement of the century given the controversy around Redfall release date and the CMA ruling in recent days. So, Redfall release, yeah, it just came out. It's supposed to be like the next big AAA studio release from Microsoft. And then before that, or around the same time, was the CMA ruling because Xbox was trying to merge with, get the acquisition, of Activision Blizzard. So, yeah, not everything went well with that. They were declined, but they're still doing appeals and all that. They're still going to fight for it. Why are they fighting for this acquisition when they need to focus on inside their own home, need to sort their own laundry? Not Activision Blizzard's laundry, but seriously, their own. They need to get sorted out and fix their company before people get fired and the company goes deeper underground into the core of all cores. So, jumping straight into the tough questions, which is what I liked about this podcast that did this. They asked him the hard questions. They didn't beat around the bush or anything. They wanted answers from the guy. And I understand that, this puts a lot of pressure on Phil Spencer, but nonetheless, you got to do what you got to do if you're the owner or the head honcho of the company. It's always good to ask the big questions, the hard ones. So XCast started off strong with a question to Spencer about how he was feeling about the CMA ruling. Now, he didn't touch base on this too far. He just kept saying in the end that, well, we'll just read it right here. I'll shut up. Spencer said the plan is still to appeal the decision and work with the existing regulators to get the deal through. The CMA decision was disappointing. I've been talking to that group for coming up on a year, confirming that the result of the CMA ruling was just as much a shock to Xbox as it was to us as players. Was it really a shock, though? I mean, you guys were fighting for so long, spending so much money. I almost felt like you got tunnel vision. You're just like you're putting all your chips on all your cards on the table. All chips are in. But now it seems like all bets are off, considering that they just got declined. But he shared his thoughts on the ruling being centered around Microsoft's potential impact on the cloud gaming market. They define a market of cloud gaming that, in my mind, doesn't really exist yet today, but they have a point of view that maybe we have a lead in a market that is just forming and that this content could somehow prohibit others from competing in that market. He later confirmed that while Activision Blizzard King is still a focus for Xbox, it's merely an accelerant for their main strategy. So Activision Blizzard King is not the end game. It's just a part of the end game, a part of that journey of which we don't even know what their final journey is, what their end game goal is, to be honest. I didn't like how he answered this. There wasn't enough transparency on all. I know he can only say so much because pretty much anything he says about the Activision Blizzard acquisition could be really used against him in a court of law or whatever you want to say, because the people that are preventing this acquisition, they'll use anything against them to make sure they definitely don't get it, like double trouble there, maybe triple trouble. But at the same time, it's kind of, he's a bit flabbergasted. He's just going with like what ifs here. He doesn't know what kind of competition and who's gonna be neglected of this cloud gaming market thing. It's like these are what if scenarios, and because of these possible scenarios, they got declined this acquisition, which I don't find that as valid proof or a valid argument. It's a very weak argument to counteract against something that, like, counteracting against something that does exist, which is Microsoft wants Activision Blizzard, versus something that's not even really a thing yet. It doesn't have its feet really wet yet, so it's kind of bizarre. Maybe it'd be to me, I'd be more respectful of the CMA's decision if we had a definite, more clarity on what the heck they're talking about with the cloud gaming market when it doesn't exist. Anyway, it was a stupid excuse. Now, so that's pretty much all they talked about with the whole, oh god, whatchamacallit, the fucking Activision stuff. He didn't really go too far into it, which, like I said, I understand. But Redfall and everything that follows takes up the large portion of the episode. That is the meat of the episode, which is great. Because this is, like I said, this is something we're talking about today. We're always free to discuss everything that we discuss, that I talk about and relate to you guys. If anybody out there listening and watching, That's what it's all about with these pity episodes. They're a lot more chill, more laid back. So, are you ready to talk about Redfall? Oh, here comes a Titus laugh. So, Redfall. It's been another tough week for Xbox. I think it's been a tough week for Xbox since Xbox One, to be honest. With the release of Redfall being met with disappointment from the fans over its state. And this will be the first we've heard of Phil's opinion on the matter. Yeah, like I said, you take it with a grain of salt. Xcast dived straight in with the spicy questions, and Phil expressed his disappointment over the release. And this is great that this podcast isn't just being like, oh, we love you, Phil Spencer. They kind of do that. They kind of butter him up a little bit. That's kind of what you do on a podcast or an interview. You got to kind of compliment. Kind of, hey, thanks for that. At least you tried or something like that. I don't know, something. Just so it doesn't seem like you're just critiquing somebody or just being a complete asshole, just interrogating him. No, it's got to be constructive criticism, and it's got to be in a kind of respectable manner. So, so there's nothing, this is Phil talking, there's nothing that's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community. I've been a part of it for a long time, he continued. To just watch the community lose confidence and be disappointed, I'm disappointed. Spencer seemed genuinely penitent over the current state of Redfall's reception. Yeah, it's just another AAA title down the dumpster, or in the dumpster when it comes to PC ports too. AAA PC games have been complete schlock. PC port AAA titles. Oh my lord, it's been awful. That's a mouthful. So he says, I'm upset with myself. He said before saying how he has been revisiting processes throughout the life cycle of Redfall's development, including the pre-release ball drop on not being able to achieve 60 FPS on Xbox consoles at launch. That was kind of our punch in the chin, rightfully. Oh, I don't think it was kind of. It was a big deal. People, when you're selling a game on that type of promise, when people are graphic whores these days, yeah, it's gonna be more than just a punch in the chin, pretty much a punch in the balls. Spencer continued that unsurprisingly, Redfall did not get the critical response that they were looking for. Big surprise, and they need to learn how to get better at quality and execution. Though he stands by Xbox not micromanaging the creativity of its studios, and this is him saying that, one thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations of our teams. I know a lot of people will say, hey, you got teams that know how to do one kind of game. Just force them to do the one kind of game that they have proven a good track record for. He's not a believer in that. Maybe that means I'll undeliver for some of our fans out there. Now, like I said, he was on the spot, so not everything he's going to say is going to be the perfect thing. But to deconstruct this, to kind of explain it, that last line, it wasn't for some of your fans. Your flagship game, Halo Infinite, was a pile of shit. Okay, this was the game that you were supposed to commercialize the Xbox, the brand new Xbox coming out the gate. You had it on the box. You released it free. It sucked. It was out for almost, 2 years now? And it's still sucky. Look, 343 is not even making the game anymore. That's where we are. Which is so upsetting. Now on the Xbox box, you have Starfield. And we pray to the gods that's going to be good. It's good that they delayed it for about a year. But this is a Bethesda game we're talking about. Bethesda never has perfect games right out the fucking gate. Ever. Ever. They have never had a perfect track record with glitchy, buggy games. It's just a part of their formula. Because they've been using that stupid creation engine for how many fucking years? And I think they finally used a different one. I don't know. I could be wrong. But it's, as the head of the company, you gotta sell the game. You gotta find a way to reel people in. And when you underperform, and people get really upset. It gets really upset, and that's just one piece of the puzzle that goes with just the game releasing. You got to think of it as a whole of the company, of like the gaming space in general. Like it affects everybody. Now, when he talks about he wants developers to have creative decisions, he wants them to make the games that they want. I like that. I'm maybe not a firm believer. I am a believer of companies wanting to not be typecasted into a certain game. I like it when they're able to try different things and kind of, get out of that fucking typecasted box of what games you're making these days. Oh, you want to make the same Call of Duty game all the time? You want to make something different? No, you're gonna make it Call of Duty. Like, they're not. Xbox isn't like Activision, where Activision forces these Call of Duty companies making the same fucking thing because it's easy money. Microsoft doesn't want to do that, in which I respect, but at the same time, make what works too. That's the thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it type deal. And yet when they try new things, it's broke. And when they've been trying, see, here's the thing with Microsoft, they've been shitty on both ends. With the stuff that has been coming out, that's been a series staple, like Halo Infinite, for example, it was shit. It was a AAA title, a series, the mascot, pile of crap. When you get games that aren't the mascot, and they were trying something new, pile of crap. Well, unless you want to count High Rush, which apparently did really good, and Penitent got pretty decent reviews from Obsidian and Grounded. So there are games out there that did okay for standing out there, but it's not always going to be perfect because these guys are trying these new ideas for the first time. I can understand that. But, hey, look where Microsoft's at now. I mean, they are being high risk, high reward. That's exactly what that is. Maybe a little bit too risky, and that's why I go back when they say, why are they trying to get the acquisition of Activision Blizzard when they can't even sort their own dirty laundry out is beyond me. But I wish he would have explained that. So, he says, what is it? Okay, so Spencer continued that unsurprisingly, Redfall did not get the critical response they were looking for. And they need to learn how to get better at quality and execution. Yeah, remember that 12-month plan he talked about? Oh, my Lord. Though he stands by Xbox not micromanaging the creativity of its studios, which, I don't know, I beg to differ on that. One thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations of our teams. Oh, wait, did I reread that? Oh, yeah, I did. These comments were made in response to criticism of Arcane making a shooter when it's not the game they are known for delivering with quality. Phil made mention of Tango as an example, known specifically for survival horror games, being allowed creative space to make the critically acclaimed Hi-Fi Rush, a rhythm-based combat fun fest that nobody saw coming from the studio. And yeah, it was made by Shinji Mikami worked on it, I believe. The guy who made fucking Resident Evil, which is crazy, and Evil Within. Or made some Resident Evil games. I don't remember if he's like the sole proprietor or creator of the IP. Speaking on the potential to have delayed Redfall to polish the game further, Spencer said that Xbox had their reasons for not doing this. We obviously have seen... Oh, let me zoom in one more. Just one more. So I can read it too. We've obviously have seen the review scores clearly. We've had the opinion that the game should be delayed. We know every developer wants to ship the best game that they possibly can. He continues, we will build games to review in the high 80s, and we will build games to review in the 60s. I mean, it's just the kind of part of being in game publishing. If you're afraid of that, then you shouldn't be in the entertainment business. You shouldn't be in the gaming business. And I understand that. Like I said, you want companies, you want games to kind of not be typecasted into making the same kind of game. But like I said, sometimes you just got to go with what works. Don't fix what isn't broken. It's like people don't mind that. That's the problem. I don't mind them. I don't mind Bethesda making an Elder Scrolls game every fucking 4 years or something, 4 or 5 years. I'm okay with that. If it's fun, that's the thing. If it's fun, it's fun. If it's a game I'm not interested in, hey, it's not a game I'm not interested in. It's just, like I said, don't fix what isn't broken. Except Bethesda games are usually broken, but they're still a lot of fun. So he agreed that there are quality issues with Redfall, which they are assessing. It's got the word ass in it, because I pointed that out because I'm a child. But the game had a specific target to meet a creative vision, which delaying the game would not have helped with. It's maybe a little simplistic to just say, hey, if you had delayed it 3 months, the core creative of the game would have been delivered on something that was different than what it was. Well, yeah. It's all about, it happens with game developing all the time, AAA titles. There's a lot of pressure on getting the game out, and when it comes to that much pressure, there's a lack of vision, and not everybody's on the same page, and not everybody knows what they're doing. So when you have something like that, when you're dealing with the biggest publisher of all time, Microsoft, or one of them, I'm not saying that Microsoft is just putting the boot on them or anything, like stomping on them to get the shit done, but they have to get it done on time. And when they are making a game they've never tried to make before, it's like kind of a brand new IP. It takes a lot longer to understand the fundamentals and create stuff from scratch instead of just using the same assets, the same engine, the same whatever, right? The same foundation that they've been working on for the past like 10 to 20 years. When it's a brand new foundation, everything, it takes quite a bit of time to get used to, and that happens a lot. And yeah, delaying it 3 months probably wouldn't have done that if nobody has any vision in the end, or just what it takes to get it done. I don't even know if 3 months is enough time to get anything done really in a game. Maybe just some bugs, but man, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. It's case by case. So Spencer stands by their decision to put the game out in its current state. At some point, we have to have a creative vision and put the game out. Our reviewers and players will tell us what they think. He says a lot about creative vision. That's the main issue is, did they have creative vision to begin with? Maybe they had something to throw on a board, but when you actually start building it and you realize what you're building is not going to work out to its, it sounds good in your head, but when you say it aloud, you're like, uh-oh. And sometimes it's just too late to bury the hatchet. From Phil's comments about the disappointment Xbox felt about the reception to Redfall's anticlimactic release, does this mean that Xbox expected otherwise? I haven't seen the game in its current state. XCast followed up by asking Phil to clarify on this. So, we do mock reviews for every game that we launch, and this is double digits lower than we were where we thought we would be for the game, said Spencer when discussing the Metacritic scores. We would never strive to launch a game that we thought was going to review in the low 60s. It's not part of our goals. And I find that hard to believe. There is no way that you do not look at this game and tell yourself, like, this game is ready to be launched. There's just no absolute feasible way, unless you just turn a blind eye and you just got to get it out there. Release broken game, fix it later, which has been the main problem in game development, especially AAA titles, for a very long time. And it still hasn't changed. These guys just don't learn their lesson. This game was significantly below our internal metrics in terms of where it actually reviewed, but that's not on anybody but us. Like we have to own in terms of our commitment to the game. Easier said than done, right? Spencer continued to detail how the team at Arcane has taken on the feedback received from the community, working on what they can, and also committing to providing the 60 FPS promised for Xbox consoles, and said that they are in a good position on the timeline to deliver this. Now, this 60 FPS timeline. Can you fucking believe it that there are FPS timelines in gaming now? Never, ever, ever boast and brag about frames per second on a console, okay? Consoles are, for the most part, nowadays, it's always like the 30 frames to get the best quality imagery. And then if you're lucky, you get the 60. Sometimes you get the best of both worlds with good image, good quality resolution and frames per second. But that was just really stupid on Microsoft to brag about something like that, which I don't know why that's a selling point, frames per second. I know they want to brag about their console and stuff, but listen, the Xbox Series S, Series X went down 30% revenue in the past year. So I think what you're doing and bragging about frames per second is not working at all. And that's just how the cookie crumbles here. It's I don't know. I don't understand why though. Like, I understand. Okay, hear me out on this. I understand that the gaming landscape changes just like everything else in the real world, But when you look back, when they released like the Xbox 360 especially is the one that sold them the most consoles in terms of accounting for inflation and how much money they made probably. The 360 to me was their best console ever. I think they nailed it very well. They really paid attention to what they were doing with that console. Besides the the Rings of Death, that was definitely a really hit on the balls for consumers and them. But other than that, I think they had a solid lineup of games. I think Xbox Live was amazing. They really wanted people to get included. And you were really playing games that felt completed. I don't know if they were 100%, but you play these exclusives, these games that were console sellers nonetheless. Okay? And they were releasing big-time console seller games. It was crazy. I don't understand why they just don't go back to that philosophy. I mean, to be honest, it's proof is in the pudding. Microsoft isn't that company anymore. As much to me, I don't think they're definitely not the same company as they were around the 360 and original Xbox days. Duh. They are definitely more about the cash grabbing, and I hate to make that sound so simplistic, but they're trying to own all these companies, and they got nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it. Not really. So Sea of Thieves and Grano were brought up by Spencer. They're not even great examples because Sea of Thieves was like half-baked at launch, had like nothing to do in it. It was boring. Grounded, release in early access, better reception, but it wasn't complete at all. At least it was counted as early access. Were brought up by Spencer as examples of games where Xbox has committed to regularly releasing quality content, and are two games currently beloved by the community. And this wasn't always the case with Sea of Thieves. Yes, it was not. He indicated that Redfall may be subject to a similar journey, but I also know that these games are $70, and I'm going to take full responsibility for launching a game that needs to be great. Hey, if you want to take full responsibility and you release a game that's not fixed or finished, how about you give them, like, I don't know, some kind of refund, for Christ's sake? Like some kind of reimbursement. Give everybody like a 20% discount coupon that bought the game or something. Just, I don't fucking know. Put in your receipt number. Go to Xbox.com and here's a 20% discount on the next upcoming Xbox exclusive or something, or a free month of Game Pass. Something. If you're just gonna say you're gonna take it on the chin or take full responsibility, fucking show it. Actually, talk to your audience. Get people on that are actual gamers, not like podcast people. Well, I know podcasts can be gamers too, like what I'm doing right now. But get people that just randomly chime in. Hopefully they have the fucking decorum and not be complete shitheads towards you. But hey, it's kind of like getting out from behind the fucking brick wall or behind the curtain. You're on stage. You're taking the tomatoes being tossed to you, the fucking water bottles. You know, it's like you do a shitty performance. This is what you get. You get shit thrown at you. But digital shit thrown at you, it's not the same as when it's physically happening to you. I think, some kind of reimbursement program. I think all AAA, I think all games that ship complete crap out the door, out the window, they should reimburse these somehow in some shape or form. Prime example of that was Cyberpunk. They should have refunded everybody $60. All the money they gained, lost. No, but they should. That's just a fucking disaster. Cyberpunk. God, those guys lie through their fucking teeth, and all they could do is apologize. And people love the game now because, oh my God, the labor of love. After 2 years of labor of love on how the game was supposed to be, I can forgive you guys for your sins. Because, yay. You can lie to us again. It's fine. I'm over it. Fool me, shame on you. Or fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So, Phil's position as head of Xbox. There's a lot of Twitter firing at Phil right now, which is fine. I'm way overpaid for the role I have anyway, so I like to that's my responsibility. He'd do a bit better, but we'll see. But we will remain committed to the game and the players as long as the players want to go play games, and that's my commitment to the community. Well, guess what, Phil? They're not going to want to play your game if they're not committed to, I don't know, the games that aren't complete when they're coming out the door. I think that's a problem. Okay, so it goes on just talking about the Xbox showcase and believing in Xbox. Yeah, nobody should really believe in Xbox right now. Has Xbox lost focus on the console market? Yeah, 30% revenue loss in the past year. Yeah, they have. Barely any exclusives or anything that are console selling. Yeah, they have. That is a big deal. So I will keep this up for reference sake because now we'll talk about what Niko, and if anybody's listening, what you don't like about with video games that have been coming out recently or just in general. So I'm going to go take a swig of water and enjoy this fanfare. I think I clicked Titus twice without even realizing it. I keep fucking up. My bad. Okay, so here's the deal. Everyone's got their things they don't, obviously they like about gaming and dislike about gaming. You got your pros and cons, that's obvious. But sometimes it's good to make it simplistic and obvious because then you can really consider the black and white issues here. And then you can meet halfway, hopefully, possibly. That's up to the consumers and that's up to the creators, right? So this article dove in one of the biggest things about what I don't like about gaming. It's disappointment. Now, disappointment comes in many shapes and sizes. I know this is all subjective. This is just to each his own, my opinion, blah, blah, blah. And disappointment is one of them. My biggest thing that's disappointing in the gaming space is the lack of delivery. Okay? And it's not just Xbox. It's happened on PlayStation. It's happened on Nintendo. It happens on PC. It happens to every platform gaming space out there that you can think of. There has been one game out there in recent years that people will always remember that came out, that they were excited for. It came out, they played it, and it was not even close to what they were promised or told, and it sucked balls on the end. I'll go again with the most extreme example, which there's two extreme examples, was Fallout 76, which Todd Howard did say that there was nothing going to be in it, but we didn't think he was really fucking that serious and how bland and boring and empty that game was, but he wasn't lying about that. So I'll give him that. I'll give him indirect courage there, or foolish courage, I guess. And two was Cyberpunk. So I'd say Cyberpunk would be a big disappointment, because that was a game that has been in development for many, many, many years, and when it came out, my God, dude, I can't tell you how many times that game got, that company, CD Projekt Red, got lawsuits against, how many people wanted refunds. Sony was not fucking around. They took the game off the store for the PS4 and all that. And it was only a year later. It was a year later until we got the Xbox Series X and PS5 versions, or the Supreme versions, we're going to call that. But that is a prime example, that most extreme example of how the gaming space works these days. And, everybody else beneath that Cyberpunk umbrella are following suit, like EA, Activision, Microsoft. These guys know what they're doing. Okay, they know that they're just going to disappoint you. It's all about the investors. There was not one point in the article or in Phil's talk about the investors meeting financial quarter, income, making the sale. They didn't meet any of that. They don't care about that in the long run. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. They are okay. He admitted they're okay with disappointment because they can fix it later. Because in reality, it's all about that dollar. If they make that initial dollar, that's all they care about. That's all they care about. And guess what? They can easily just, after they made the money they wanted, they can shut down that game's services, they can shut the game down, and they can just tell that company to make something else or shut the studio down and go have other people make games for them. They can easily throw these companies at the wayside. Microsoft's already done it. All these companies have done it. Microsoft threw Lionhead Studios out the fucking window for no apparent reason. They had Fable Legends coming out, and it was probably going to be an okay game, decent enough. I don't think it was going to be complete ass. It had an interesting concept. Not my cup of tea for a Fable game, but hey, it's a Fable game nonetheless. Gone, canceled, Lionhead Studios shut down, and you can look it up. Microsoft regrets shutting it down. I wonder why. Because you've got a company like Playground Studios, the Forza guys, working on the next Fable game, and they had to build this game from fucking scratch, and we haven't seen anything on it since the teaser in 2019. And this goes to show where Microsoft is at. We haven't seen Perfect Dark. We haven't seen Avowed. We haven't seen anything from Banjo-Kazooie, the next Gears game, Fable. The list goes on. It's crazy. So disappointment, like I said, comes in all shapes and sizes. It's just failure to launch, and that's the biggest disappointment of them all, and I think that's unfair, but that's pretty much the point I wanted to make, is disappointment. Now, the second one is the overhype, and going back to the example I made is Waldar, what's up, dude? Thanks for cutting into my rambling. I appreciate it. Yeah, so Waldar, thanks for stopping by, dude. How are you? So, Haldar says, I was going to say it's nice of them to comment about Redfall when it's not even released yet. But apparently it is. And Haldar goes the same, which just goes to show how disappointing it really was. Arcane Fall. Yeah. And I was making the point in this article. I don't know if you guys should read the article or watch the podcast, just to get more context. If you missed what I was talking about it, but it goes back to what I was talking about with him saying, "Look, I'm a firm believer of games that they have a creative thing, a vision they want to go for, and I'm all up for that." And he supports that, and I think that's great. I think that's great that he's wanting to do that. Okay, I wouldn't be a firm believer in that because, as I was saying, like, don't fix what isn't broken. Arcane Studios is good at what they do. They're good at making the Prey games. Okay, they tried something new with Deathloop. It got amazing reception, but if you're someone who is so used to playing what did I say? Did I say Thief? I meant to say Dishonored. Dishonored series. Made Prey. Prey was a very cool game. They're good at making those games. I don't think they were just neglected from their vision. Prey was very different from Dishonored. Dishonored was very different from Heroes of Might. What is it called? Might and Magic. An older 2000s medieval first-person game. Like, they're good at doing that. Let them keep doing that. Redfall is another first-person game, but it was so out of left field, and it's kind of weird that Arcane Studios wanted to do that. But they tried, and, swing and a miss. I get it. I wouldn't say this ruins Arcane's reputation as a whole because they have such a great track record, but Microsoft's track record in the end is crap. So this makes it even worse. So, oh God, when you that's one of the things I don't like about that's the next thing is overhyping stuff. When you are a company and you are overhyping your marketing, when you're talking about, oh, it's going to have 60 frames of launch, oh, this is the 12-month plan. If you guys, I don't know if you remember, but they did a 12-month plan as soon as they talked about the game at this showcase for Xbox. And this is something you should never do as a businessman because this puts way too much stress on yourself, especially in the game developing life, which I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know any better because I have no idea what goes on. But, we see the proof here. We see the numbers being lost. Never do a 12-month plan for all the studios that were announcing games at a showcase. I think that's a really stupid, fucking dumb thing to do. I don't understand that. I've never seen a company do something like that. That's stupid. It's very, very, pompous and arrogant and such insolence. That is just something you don't do. So that's an example of overhyping stuff and just look at this. Hey, look at that. Wow, doesn't this look cool? Whoa, look at this video. Wow, it's so great. Look at all this marketing flair. And then it turns out to be a pile of crap. I think I have an invader bug in my room. Hello? Walter, is that you? No, just kidding. I think Arcane lost a bunch of their staff. Studio seems to have changed a lot. Yeah, and it most likely did because when you get bought out by a big-time publisher, there's going to be a lot of head turning by the developers that don't want to go with how Microsoft wants them to be. Even though they say you have the creative freedom, no. You don't have the creative freedom that you used to have. You are under the thumb of Microsoft, and Microsoft. They kind of, look how Rare is nowadays. Rareware is like this family-oriented fucking pirate game. These are the guys that made GoldenEye, Donkey Kong, fucking Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie, Star Fox 64, Killer Instinct. Now they make fucking kiddie family games and, hipster games nowadays. I'm like, oh, geez. Yeah. Things change. Things change quite a bit when you're under the thumb of a big-time publisher. So, look at the... So, anyway, back to my point. Is this hyping up something so much. You'll be like Square Enix with Forspoken. You'll be like Xbox with Redfall. You'll be like Nintendo with... I'm trying to think. Oh, well, I'll just go with the popular opinion that people have. With Scarlet Violet Pokemon... people didn't like that because apparently it had so many bugs and glitches, which I didn't really deal with any of them. I was okay besides crappy frames. But that's just my prime example from Nintendo. And then the worst part is the underperforming, the overhyping of ports that don't work. So it's just one giant shit show. And that's no bueno in my book. Niko says, bad gaming developers, bad. You should be ashamed of yourself. Big shame. Big shame.
Liar!
All right, so let's go. I wrote a measly list. Let's go to the next point because we're almost done here in the show. I'll do my best. Burp. Okay, hold on. Let me turn this off real quick. What's the next thing I want to talk about? Oh, yeah, we kind of talked about lies. You know, it kind of goes with the overhype and excuses and lies. Um, this one's pretty good. This is something they don't really talk about. You don't hear too much. Okay, so there's my list. Oh, isn't that just the cutest list? Isn't that adorable? All right, leave me alone. Okay, is the reasoning of making said game. Okay, like the purpose behind said game. So in this article, just going by the example here, Phil Spencer talked about creative vision. What is the creative vision? So when you look at the game Redfall, and I'll ask the audience this too, of course, anybody who wants to chime in. Feel free to subscribe to the channel so I can finally be free of my YouTube slavery. When you look at the game Redfall, what do you think the creative vision was of that game? What were they trying to accomplish? What was the creative vision of Cyberpunk, of Death Stranding, of fucking Pokemon Scarlet Violet, of this game, of that game? How do you know? What's the creative vision of the next Diablo game? I don't fucking know half the time. In this podcast, he talked a lot about, he kept using that coin phrase, creative vision, but he didn't explain what the creative vision was. Did he know what the creative vision was? Do the publishers know? I don't know. Do they just go with their, like, give them benefit of the doubt and just pray that they release a game that has creative vision? Like, it's such a subjective term when it comes to game developing. I don't know what the creative vision was for Redfall. Playing with your friends and hunting down vampires on this sandbox? But, like, what's the creative part about it? Like, what makes you stand apart from the rest? I'm not saying you have to make the next fucking Undertale or I don't know, Deus Ex game. You know what I'm saying? Or the next Halo game, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Like a game that stands among the rest, the next Skyrim. But what's your purpose? That's something we don't really hear too many, really any developers talk about. Like, why did you make this game? Maybe Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios talked about why they made Baldur's Gate 3. Maybe they're just big fans of Dungeons and Dragons, which they are. They're big time nerds. But I never heard the creative vision of why Halo Infinite was being made. And that game was a pile of shit. Cyberpunk, when that came out, that game was broken, buggy mess, technical disaster. Redfall sucks, broken, buggy mess, disaster. I mean, I don't know. I guess transparency is a big deal when it comes to knowing what the vision is. And it's like when studios change over the years because of developers leaving and stuff, or new leadership and all that crap, what is the creative vision now? Is it the same as before? They don't tell you this. They don't keep you up to speed 90% of the time, because if they were completely transparent, publishers get mad about that. When you compare apples to oranges, Activision Blizzard, any game they release, let's talk about Diablo 4. They have the tiptoe around every subject. They can only talk about so much because you're under the thumb of Activision. Larian Studios, it's its own company, their own publisher. When they talk about Baldur's Gate 3, they are actually talking to you. They are talking to the audience. They are talking to Twitch. They're fucking doing nerdy ass D&D skits and shit and talking about things that are buggy and broken in the game. They show you what they're playing in the game at that very moment. And then when you have the people be like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. Oh, we got to fix that bug. That's great. That's great. I think that's fantastic when they do that. That's the transparency that I think we should have. And it makes people feel more comfortable about this $60, $70 fucking purchase you're going to make on this big title. Duncan Stevens was shooting on you. I don't care, Dre. I'm doing a show here, bud. And that's what it needs to be in the end. That's the transparency, the creative vision, the reasoning you're making the game. People like hearing that. They want to know the why, the how, the where, the when. The shooting, the Duncans. America runs on Duncan, damn it. Okay, here we go. Let's do this final point, and then I could fucking blow my brains out in front of the FBI. Okay, nothing creative or artistic. Ah, yes. Nothing creative or artistic. So that goes a lot. Like I said, these are all under the same umbrella corporation. Okay, ran by Wesker. No, I'm just kidding. But these are under the same umbrella. A lot of them do sound similar because they go hand in hand. A lot of them are just maybe offsprings of what I've already talked about. But the creative artistic department. What was the creative aspect? Like I said, what was the artistic value in Redfall? Did it look interesting? Does it play interesting? Does it sound interesting? Does it feel interesting? You know? Like, how can you tell? With me personally, if I watch a trailer for a game and I like it right then and there, hey, good bet that, hey, I'll do some research. I'll check out the game even more. Sometimes maybe it takes these guys to do a couple trailers for me to really get interesting or interested, and maybe I will hear about it in the end. But if I'm not interested after 3 trailers, chances are, good chance I won't be playing the game. And with gaming nowadays, when there's like 50,000 Steam games releasing daily, when there's 50,000 indie games releasing daily or AAA games releasing daily, like, how do you fucking even stand? How do you stand out? It's like, how do you even do it? How do you prove yourself to be this new creative, artistic, I don't know, fucking game, this team? Like, yeah, it's like, how do you do it? Do you just shove as much money as you fucking can in the product and something will get made? Which is funny. A lot of companies do that nowadays. They just try to shove as much money as they can, and they pray to the gods that it makes them a bunch of money back. Which is what they do every time with Call of Duty. If Call of Duty exploded tomorrow or whatever, just stopped being a franchise, I think the world would be a better place. That's a game that has no creative department, no creative decisions. It's like, I can only imagine there's got to be a Call of Duty fucking concentration camp somewhere where all the developers work under the same camp roof and fucking Activision is gassing them to death if they don't meet their fucking 1 month deadline. Okay, the game's out. Start working on the next game, motherfuckers. Ugh, fucking awful. Ugh. That's a prime example of games that don't really have creative, artistic value anymore. And they haven't for a long time. They're very much soulless games. But when we get like a FromSoft game, when we get games like Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3 or even Sekiro, where they put a lot of time into it, although, the release window for Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne was very short. It was very short, but when you played those games, you still had a fucking great time, though. Doesn't matter how much they cut out. It was still a fucking blast, and there was still like a lot of love put into it. There was still a lot of fun to be had. It was a game that was working out the fucking door. It's like you're a master of the craft. You're making games that you love doing. And you try to put a little spin on it. You try to put it like in a different landscape or something. And you pray that it works. I'm like, that's taking risk. I'm okay with that. That's a creative, artistic decision. Like I said, look how it worked for FromSoft. Anytime they took a risk, they fucking get Game of the Year every time. So how come like Microsoft is having trouble with these companies when they're trying to do that shit? Oh, it's kind of it's obnoxious. It's obnoxious. Shit. I mean, do I give credit to Bandai Namco since they're the publishers of FromSoft and all these other companies for having artistic value? I'm like, I guess so. Shit. I guess Bandai Namco is just one of those companies that actually do care about their products being good, playable, completable, fun out the door, interesting out the door, intuitive, just fucking something. Like, anyway, I digress. I'm being a dead Duncan horse here. So I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how it all goes in the behind the scenes or anything, but like, game developing is hard. And like, no shit. Everything in life is hard besides my penis, okay? But you don't hear me complaining about that. So before we end the show, ladies and gentlemen, let's do a fanfare for me and myself only. If there's anybody in the audience, I'll leave the room open for you guys, the air. Is there anything that you guys don't like about with video games in general? Like, what really is your big pet peeve with game development and stuff? Is it the overhyping, or is it the marketing? Is it the what I've talked about, the what is it, expectation? No, shit. What did I talk about? The artistic value, the creative vision. The fucking, oh man, I hate to say it, but the political landscape behind some of these games too. Like, what are your guys' pet peeves with games? And if anybody else is listening out, you know, they find this video and you're checking it out for the first time or here on Spotify, let me know down in the comments below. Because, I mean, the list is pretty much endless, and it all blends in together in the end. It really does. It is one giant mural of crap. No, the AAA market's fine, dude. The Game Train says that AAA market, and yeah, that's pretty much what this article talks about, and it is a prime example because it does affect everybody. It tells other companies that, oh shit, Microsoft tried this method with Redfall, for example, and it didn't work well. Well, I guess we can't do that. Let's just keep going with what's working, which isn't always a bad idea. But I hate to see these creative ventures get thrown to the wayside because another company fucked up on it. You know, these guys get, you know, cold feet kind of quick because there's a lot of money to be made and a lot of money to lose, unfortunately. But there's the AAA market, especially for PC ports for AAA games, has been awful with every big release. Every big release has been complete dog shit. It started with Forspoken, and then so far it has ended with Redfall. And that's why a lot of people, you know, will stand by the decision to not fork over the money of AAA gaming because there is a very, very high probability, high chance of failure, and you'll be disappointment. And guess what? Good luck getting a refund if you buy the, you know, good luck. Maybe if you buy the copy, I mean, dude, I bet you the Star Wars Jedi Survivor copies, PC ports, got plenty of refunds because that was just broken at launch. I can only imagine Redfall. I can only imagine how Forspoken was. Cyberpunk, when that came out, they were offering refunds and stuff. And maybe refers so people can fucking have a good time and forget about the disaster they played. Oh, we can only be so lucky. But the AAA market is the worst in gaming today. It used to be pretty damn good, in my opinion, back when the 360 was out. And I'm just going by just some bias here. I was good with my Halos for the Xbox back in the 2000s. I was good with my Gears of Wars, my Mass Effects, my Dragon Ages. Well, I guess I don't know if Dragon Age was it AAA. I know Mass Effect felt like a AAA game for me. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. At least with Gears of War and Halo, I was always having a good time. BioShock, when that came out for the Xbox, that was a good AAA title. God damn. That was a fucking right on the money, baby. Right on the fucking money. Shoot. And then so on and so forth. I mean, look at fucking the Dragon Age AAA. Okay. I mean, yeah, people had a great time with that. Look at Pokemon. Look at when Pokemon came out for the handhelds. I mean, they were fucking nailing it every single time. They were selling gazillion copies. So anyway, those were just. That's when AAA games were just fucking nailing it, man, quite a bit. It was most impressive. Impressive, most impressive. That's what Vader would say. That's so topical.
Liar!
May the farce be with you. Chibo, what's up? We're at the tail end of the stream. Hey, Chibo, we're talking about things we don't like about gaming. What is one thing that really irks you about gaming when it comes to playing a game or just game development in general? Boo, put Chibo on the spot here. But hey, anybody who's watching this, feel free to dislike the video and shoot for my legs. Whee! But anyway, yep, I agree with Waldar's AAA market statement 100%. You gotta go with the most obvious fucking red flag, the fattest AAA elephant in the room, who's fucking been dead for so long. It's a skin and bones AAA market elephant in the room. Oh my god. Oh my god. No new innovation. Exactly. That goes to what I was talking about before, the creative vision, the artistic value. A simple cash grab. Now, Chibo, is there a game that has come out for you that gave you that that thought process of no new innovation? Was it Call of Duty? Was it Forspoken? Was it, hey, you played Hogwarts Legacy recently? Was it Hogwarts Legacy? Anything that stands out? I know you were playing the Warhammer games, the Total War 3, but I think you really liked that. But any examples that stick out? Any Hogwarts broomsticks that stick out? Okay, he did not answer the question at all. Thanks for playing.
Doesn't anyone else care? It's just a spectacle to you? It's just a spectacle to you? It's just funny?
Okay. So I'll read this last comment and then we'll wrap up the cream stream. Okay, so the Game Train says that's because AAA is afraid of risk and too dusty to make fun games that they know are safe to do. Pestagon says V Rising. Oh, wait a minute, V Rising. Oh. That's that vampire game, right? I thought you guys were playing that for a while. What happened with that? Niko, you're so touchy on your YouTube show. I think you're sensitive too to my reaction. Well, yeah, I'm doing a show, dog. It's not the same as when I'm on YouTube. On Twitch. I had to be a little bit uptight, even though I did say in the beginning of this episode it's pretty laid back. But there's got to be some kind of decorum. I got my balls hanging out right now. What do you want from me? Yeah, I completely forgot about V Rising. Yeah, I remember you and Waldar or the Game Train were playing that for a while. For a second, I thought you meant Vampire Survivors. Oh shit! But that game made them so much money. We're waiting for them to beef up the beta. Big update in 14 days. Oh, it's still in beta format. Holy crap! Okay. Well, hopefully it's good. Hey, at least okay. Let me ask you this. And Walder brought up the Game Train brought up a good point about this. These AAA games should come out with early access title in front of them or beta. That way people know what they're paying for. Now, with that said, did V Rising, did you know it was early access or a beta when you got it? Because that's honestly, I think AAA games should do that. I think, for example, Jedi Survivor, hey, they can be transparent and they can say, hey guys, the console versions are ready to go, little to no issues, but our PC port is in beta. Why can't they fucking say that? There's nothing wrong with that. That way people cannot be as not as anal with their reviews and more understanding. People appreciate honesty more than anything when it comes to spending $70 fucking dollars for a Star Wars game that's going to be $5 in like 5 months. You know what I'm saying? I guess it's not like super unique, but they are taking correct steps of taking the right ingredients to make a good cocktail. Okay. I've always seen real innovation and risk-taking in indie market as of late, and yes, V Rising came with the EA. But did it come with the beta label? Did you guys know it was early access? Okay, Chibo Pestagon says, I knew it was early access. I think indie projects should have had early access because their vision is not like super clear. Taking feedback sometimes is great. Vision! That's exactly what we were talking about in this podcast that Phil Spencer did, the head of Xbox. He talked a lot about creative vision, but he didn't really dive too deep into that creative vision of what. And I tried to divulge even further, and I beat a dead horse with it. I rambled hard on it, and that creative vision. What is it? What are you trying to do with your game? What are you trying to accomplish? You know? I mean, geez Louise. It's your sales pitch. It's like if you go, bring your game to Shark Tank and explain it. That's pretty much what these companies should be doing. Like, why is this important? Why should we sponsor it? You know what I'm saying? They should Shark Tank the fuck out of these AAA games. Not like physically go on Shark Tank, but you know what I mean. But for AAA, we pay big bucks. We want to see the big cream, big idea. Big cream. God, why did I read that? I don't want beta test their game. I want full release only. Okay. But hey, I mean, it's like, I get it. I agree with that. The saying it was, if the PC ports early access or in beta and the consoles are not, I mean, it's just a Band-Aid on there, but eventually you have to rip the Band-Aid off, and hopefully it doesn't, it's not bleeding anymore. Hopefully it's healed up, patched up quite nicely. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. In the end, these guys have to be doing something different. In the end, they have to. They really have to shape up what they're doing, and that's just the obvious. But for some reason, they can't see the obvious point. Yeah, show-stopping stuff on safe ideas or big bombastic. God, yeah. Hey, a lot of AAA games, they either go hard or they don't go hard at all. They can't seem to find a middle ground, in my opinion. So a $70 Scream port. Instead, it's just dusty old stuff that the DOS era did better. Let's bring back text-based adventures, damn it. Let's do it. Oh man, someone should start programming the great text, bring back text adventure games. Yeah, and that came out in the 2000s, man. The 2010s and to today, it's steep decline when it comes to AAA. Indie gaming has been the top of the food chain, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, this is great. I'm glad we're having this discussion and stuff, so I appreciate it. The Game Train says, if I ever see a AAA dev telling me their big thing is 32-player multiplayer, I immediately drop it. Yeah. Oh, man, I agree. There's so many bad sales pitches out there. The main one is 60 FPS at launch for a console. Oh, God, so laughable. So laughable. All right, awesome. Hey, folks, guess what time it is? It's time for Niko to go. Oh man, that was fun. I'm glad you guys chimed in near the most important part of the stream. Means a lot. We try to tap into what you guys had a problem with and what I had a problem with, and just what's been going on in the nerd gaming space as a whole. And if you haven't read this article or you didn't hear me at all reading it, or check out the podcast that this article is based on, I recommend it. Just kind of give you some, maybe a little bit some clarity on what's going on with the gaming landscape as a whole. If not, that's fine. I don't really care. But, the links will be down below. And I appreciate everybody who came by. I've been your host, NikoTheLegend, also known as the well-mannered teenager, the snowflake, rambling idiot, and vigil. I hope to see you again, Pathfinders. And, I'd say the sky's the limit with AAA games, but no. The sky's the limit has to be patched, and it won't be out at launch. It'll be out like 5 years from now, and then the next game will be out. And it'll just be worse and worse every time. All right, everybody. I'll see you later. Goodbye.